The schools are like that.
We have a lot of walkers across the street there.
Okay, we're on the air.
Okay, let's go. Call this meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks, everybody. I'm filling in for Nick Cantola, our chair who can't be here with us tonight, but let's do a roll call. Marge Segstetter, Glenn.
Here.
Jacqueline, Mike Bender.
Here.
Dallas Pearson.
Present.
Mike Zarella.
Yes.
Kathy Schreifels.
Here.
Okay, and in the audience, we have Deb Moeller, and she's our liaison to Washington County Master Gardeners. And
Susan Willenbring, council.
thank you. What's your last name, Susan?
It was Olson, it's Willenbring now.
Willingbring. Okay. Thank you for joining us. Are you our new liaison to the council? Excellent. Thank you. Nice to meet you. And then, of course, we have Lauren Goda,
City
our
Forester.
City Forester. So thanks, everybody, for being here on this hot evening. We have a long agenda, but we're going to try and get it done in an hour, so not too many side conversations, please. We'll start with the approval of the minutes from our last meeting in March. Has everyone had a chance to read it? Any questions, discussion? If not, how fast can you speed read? If not, I need a motion to approve.
I move to approve as presented.
Okay, thanks, Dallas.
Second.
And seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, I suppose I need to vote. Any nays? Okay, all approved. Thank you.
And Marge, if I could say something, so.
Of course.
There was a change. On our last meeting, we made a change of the previous minutes. There was a date
Right.
that was wrong. And those just got finally updated as well, so they should, the last meeting's minutes, or the previous 2 meetings ago minutes now should be posted finally. So the video was, I think, always up, but the minutes weren't posted.
Got
'cause we needed to make that change, and it finally got done.
Okay, and it was approved before,
Yep,
already,
we had
right? So,
approved it,
yep,
right, yep.
all right. Very good. All right, thanks for that update. All right, we'll move to our Arbor Day Festival. In other words, our tree giveaway, but I like the Arbor Day Festival wording. So I'm glad to see that, or that's what we're calling it. What went well, and is there anything that should be changed? So any comments about that?
The only thing I saw was that I don't think a lot of the people realized how big of trees they were getting. I've heard several comments that people thought they were getting just teeny tiny ones, so.
Oh,
And I noticed there was a few of us had problems getting those trees in some people's cars because they're, of what they were getting. So I wonder if there's a way we can let people know what size to expect. Other than that, I think it went excellent.
So they were a little bit taller than they weren't all of that, but some of them were a little bit taller than I had expected. And we didn't get those tall ones until the week of the giveaway. And people call and say, I'd like to know how big these trees are to figure out what kind of car I need to bring. And I was telling people that they're 5 to 7 feet tall, and some of them were almost 10 feet tall, so.
Yeah. But some people showed up in some the people who called you were the smart ones.
Right, yeah. But there were some that were taller than I expected.
well, it's a good problem to have bigger trees than we thought, rather than those little teeny ones from the watershed district, so. Okay, so I guess, I don't know if we could put something on, on the sign up that,
And it's, they're always taller than they say they are on the form too, so it's tough to actually figure out how tall they are ahead of time. But I have a rough idea usually, but this year I was taken aback by 1 or two species that were taller than I expected. And then the mayor, the only thing the mayor mentioned to me, I talked to him specifically about 2 lines or 1 line coming in, and he specifically mentioned, I think we should stay with 1 line.
Okay.
So we'll just, I'll try to, I'll try to, I'm a little leery about having tablets, because I love the hard copy, and in case something screws up with the electronic devices, I love having the hard copy. Maybe I can try to order some better earphones, so we only have 1 ear plugged. My earphones that my crew uses were a little complicated for you guys, and you couldn't hear anything else once you had them on, so I'll be thinking about how to, I mean, we really only need 2 lines when people start backing up on 15th, and it didn't happen very often. But when it does happen, you need to be able to communicate across traffic, and it's still a problem. So I don't know. We got to keep working on that.
I have one question about the size. And I know, I think, Mike, you and I had a couple that were sticking out the side windows, and, you know, do we have orange tape or something? I mean, isn't it the law that if it's beyond 3 feet outside your vehicle, they should be taped?
Yeah, 3 feet beyond your
a flag.
tail lights, I think you need a
It's
flag.
18 inches
Flag.
out the side.
Oh, 18, yeah.
18
Well,
inches, okay.
There was, I remember one that was probably beyond that, and I don't know if we ever keep that on site, some tape for those ones hanging out the back.
So we can tape them to the window kind of a thing?
Well, you
Is
know,
it-
just like it's like
You're
an orange
talking about
flag.
flagging tape,
Orange
right?
flag on the back end, you know, if
Yeah.
it's sticking out too far.
I have red flagging. I can certainly bring
We
red
should probably
flagging.
have that. The other thing I would like to say from the master gardeners, and maybe you'll have a comment, Deb, but we know you bring a lot of literature, and a lot of people don't take that literature, and if it's windy or wet, it's just going to get ruined anyway. So I think other than maybe emerald ash, or if we have 1 or 2 brochures, I wouldn't bring, you know, it's not worth bringing all that extra literature along. What do you think, Deb?
Unless we can hope for a sunny day.
Right. Hasn't happened recently. The weather has not cooperated for beautiful mornings, but that would just say one thing less for you to haul.
I guess I would add to that too is I like hard copies too to work with because you never know what, but we always, I think I've only been to one of these that the weather was actually nice. So I guess what I want, especially when it's windy and rain, is there some just way we might be able to protect the sheets better? Because a couple times we almost lost them in the wind, and you know, and then when they get a bit wet, it's hard to mark them. So I don't know if there's just something we might be able to do to cover them up in a way, you know, in case of inclement weather.
And I'll have them organized better next year, so we only have the pertinent information we need, and that pertinent information is next to each other instead of on the other side. And I can laminate them, we can check them off with a Sharpie, so, I mean, that'll increase the weight of them and help in case it's raining or getting wet, but we'll still need like paperweights because the wind will still blow them laminated sheets away too. Staple them all together, and then they're really heavy, laminated.
Could we use plastic sleeves, or is that going to be just allowing rain to get in the top? You know, they're recyclable. I mean, you can reuse them over and over.
Yeah,
so,
we could use plastic sleeves.
you know, and a wax pencil instead of a Sharpie. I don't know. I didn't. You
Well, that
see
was
your
what I was more
process,
thinking
so-
of, is just kind of a sleeve of some sort. Doesn't have to be laminated, just something that, you know, just help a little bit with the,
Yeah, the reason I'm thinking of sleeves, I just gave Lisa probably a couple hundred that I salvaged from another job. They were going in the dumpster and I dug them out.
But I think, Lauren, if you do slim down the sheet, that'll solve a lot of the problem, I think.
Yeah.
Because we're sitting there going, oh, you know.
Trying to read it.
How many no-shows were there?
Oh, I did not look at that before the meeting here tonight, but if I remember correctly, I think there was like 28 no-shows this year, so it was kind of high, unusually high. So,
Is there a reminder that goes out? I don't remember.
there is, yep.
Okay, to pick up, for people to pick up their trees, okay. All right, anything else on the Arbor Day Festival? Nice trees, hopefully everybody's watering them, those watering bags,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
dry out there. Water them trees.
Yeah, and thank you for offering the water bags this year. My Linden is, or what did I get? Joey. I can't remember. I'm having a mental block. My tree is doing well with the water bag, so thank you. All right, let's move to the spring planting. On 40th, what went well, what should be changed? I know a lot of volunteers didn't show up, but it seemed to go very well anyway. And we were done on time and early, I think, even with less volunteers. So do you know how many didn't come? It was quite a few.
Well, there were mostly from Tartan, that group. There were just, I think she just sent her list of that group. What was the group, Mike?
National Honor Society?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so, but a couple dozen, right? Or,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that we were missing, but it still went really well. Well organized from the city's, I think, on the city's part, so the staff, thank you.
It was, the ceremony was very nice too, with the mayor.
Excellent to acknowledge the Jane Klein Memorial planting. So I honestly couldn't think of anything we could do better. Anyone else? Good idea for improvements for next year?
I asked Mike to get a list of the kids with their grade, or their school. I wonder if we should have maybe a sign-up sheet too? And then we wouldn't need to go through and cross off, or see who didn't take their name tag. Because some of them didn't even have name tags.
You mean they came and they just never took it?
They came and they weren't even signed up.
Oh, okay. So we had extras that,
We had a few extra people.
oh, interesting, okay.
Because were the Kleins signed up?
The who?
The Klein family? I don't think they were.
I don't think they were either.
So they came to,
Yeah.
well, for the memorial, and then they worked, right?
Yes.
Yes, and they worked on my team. So they weren't registered officially.
Correct.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, so that's just a last-minute walk-in. Excellent, that we can have those. But yeah, we should have a sign-up sheet, I guess, for someone who just shows up at the last minute like that.
Sign-up sheet for walk-ins.
Yeah, and Lauren and I, we talked a little bit about that at the Sunborough planting that just happened, is having a sign-up sheet or something that where people can sign in, mostly from a volunteer liability kind of thing, to know who was there on site, in case there was an issue or something, that we should have something, maybe a form from the city. You know, many other organizations I volunteer with, you have to sign in, and it's kind of a waiver that you sign when you show up. So, and could we work with somebody in city, on the staff here to get that form
Yeah,
done?
I've contacted City Hall about that before, and it's never really materialized, so, but I can bring it up again.
Okay, if nothing else, just a sign-up sheet or a list where they can put their name, sign up, and then they, by signing in, they have read I read a release or something.
It would
Right.
be easier to know how many people you had too, if everybody
Oh, right,
signed
right.
in.
Exactly. Because that was my question after that one, of knowing that we had so many kids we were counting on and didn't show, and then we still got the job done. It would be nice to know how many we actually had. So we could plan in the future for the right number of trees that we've got going in, right? Yeah. Almost a tree per, how many people per tree or something,
Right.
that we can calculate ahead of time. We need this many volunteers if we're planting this many trees. Approximate. Those kids worked pretty hard. Is there anything we can do to help with that form? Is that fall in your lap, Lauren?
I don't think so. I think I'll just contact City Hall about that and see what
Right.
they say. I mean,
Is there like a legal department
we do have a legal
Yeah.
department.
that maybe
and
should advise us
I'll
on?
bring it up to my supervisor, and he can bring
Okay.
it to his supervisor, and we'll
Okay,
see where it
thanks.
goes.
All right, it just,
Right,
it just seems from a liability standpoint, that we would want to have something like that. I mean, it's pretty standard for volunteer events. So, okay. All right, anything else on the spring planting? Oh, I did have one more thing, Lauren, because of the Sunborough planting and you doing that nice instruction ahead of time with everyone there. You know, I think, so at the Sunborough planting, Lauren did a group instruction for everybody. It's kind of just talking through how we're going to plant the tree, and then we had a demo. So instead of at the 40th planting, we had, I think the staff did their own
individual,
demos
yeah.
all the way along, but it was kind of like good to just, I think, have a group go through it verbally and then watch it. Because a lot of the trees apparently on the 40th, or I don't know how many, but were planted too deep. And so this is then that just, the staff has to go back and pull them up, and that's just it's a good technique we all should learn better. So I thought that would be a good thing to do in the future. Just take 5 minutes to go through that as a big group. Even though we all want to get shovels and get going. All right. Let's go on to new business. New commissioner application. So do we have 2 openings technically because of Stan coming off the board and then now Kathy? Or will there be 2 openings?
Yes, well, and according to the bylaws, I mean, it says we can have up to 13 or 14 or something, or, so, but yeah, I mean, right, and I've already talked to City Hall about advertising it, but, so I did get 1 application from Jacqueline Johnson. I haven't had time to meet with her yet to see if she's eligible and push her to City Hall yet, but I have contacted her. She was very pleasant on the phone. She was looking forward to having an interview with myself and my supervisor. So I'll be trying to do that in the upcoming week or weeks here. And and by the time we have our next meeting, I should have gotten it to City Council. And if, you know, if that's the case, so. We might have a new member next meeting.
Okay, well, and the reason I ask is I have someone who's tentatively interested, and then we have our new tree squad with the Master Gardeners, and this is one of the opportunities that we mentioned that they could do if
Right.
they're interested, and so I could put a note out to, there's 21 people on that mailing list that are tree lovers,
Yeah,
so,
yep.
okay, as
I
long
think
as,
that'll be fine, yeah.
can I have a second one too? All right. And Jacqueline looks like she would be a good add. I read her application in our packet, and I
Right.
thought she'd be a great graphic designer, loving trees. Spring planting event renamed. I think we all probably know that, right? That,
Yeah, I just threw that in there because I didn't remember who wasn't at the spring planting, and I just wanted to make it official so all the tree board knew that they did name it, the city council did name it the Jane Klein Memorial Spring Planting Event in honor of Jane Klein,
That's wonderful.
who used to be chair of the tree board for many
Many
years.
years. Awesome. Thank you. That's nice. All right, Tree City Award. I think this is the growth award section, right, Lauren?
Yes, yep.
Okay, so I can speak to that. You know, as you all know, there's a grant that was given by the DNR, or approved by the DNR for $100,000 to remove emerald ash, or ash trees for emerald ash borer. And one of the questions they asked the city was, if they are a Tree City USA, which we are and have been for 28 years,
Yep.
but if we've received any growth awards. And that just kind of triggered the question about, well, what are the growth awards, and is this something that we should consider? So I went online and looked up the growth awards, and by the way, the consultant who was hired by the city to write the Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan update. Also recommends that we look at these growth awards, that it's a nice thing to do for the community. It shows, due diligence, that we're working always to get better and improve. And there happens to be like 85 or more opportunities for us. So it's a application that it looks like it comes out in September. It's not available. I can't see the application right now, but there's many, many ways to get 10 points, which is the minimum that you need to get a growth award. And it looks like we would be eligible this year simply from having one or maybe more new members, as well as having the updated Emerald Ash Borer Plan. And there's a lot of new and fun ideas that we could look at to enhance our board for sure, and to help Lauren and the staff. So I'd like to propose and just have a call for volunteers to work with. I will volunteer to look at that application before September, whenever it's available online, and work on that application. So I was hoping that one of you would be interested to work with me on that. I just think it would be a nice way. Let's try it. It looks like we easily qualify this year, and see if it's something that, it's an application. I don't know if there's a cost. I'm guessing there might be some nominal fee.
I don't think there is a cost at all. So in my annual Tree City USA application, there's never been any cost
Okay.
to apply. So I don't think there is for the growth award either.
Oh, good, okay. That's good. I just assumed there would be an administrative
And
something.
I'm not positive on the coordination, if we can turn those applications in separate or if we have to turn them in together. It's an online portal that we use, but
Okay.
we can work together on it.
Great. So I do have, and I printed out, it's a pretty long PDF file of all of these, like 85. There's, a few sentences about each category. For example, tree inventory, measuring trees, training. It's all the way from HR to volunteer community planting events, Arbor Day enhancement. Oh my gosh, there's just so many. I listed about 10 or 12 that I thought we could work on as a group. And one of the things that I think, I've been on this board for a while, is that I want to make sure that we're not making more work for Lauren, but we're helping as a board, and that, we're bringing value to the job that he does with his staff. And so I would like for us to kind of own some things that we could do to help. And I don't know how you all feel about it, but I'm open to comments and suggestions, but this just seems like a kind of like, for this year, a no-brainer to try to apply and get an award and see how it goes. Experimental trial. So.
Yeah, and when they send me the email, which I'm not sure when, but Marge says September, they always send me an email telling us, get on your portal and start applying. So I'll send a reminder out to everybody then, and we can start working on it together.
Yeah, is anyone interested?
I would help you if you need it.
Okay, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Anyone else want to work on this? Can I send a link, or maybe in our minutes we can put the link to this growth award?
Yep.
I'll send it over to, who does the minutes? Not Lisa.
Lisa does.
Oh,
the
she
minutes.
does. Okay, I'll send her the link, because it's PDF. It's pretty lengthy, but with 85 or 87 paragraphs, but that would be good. And I did check for the application because I wanted to see how complicated it was, and it's not online right now. So there's no way to move forward at this point, but thanks, Mike, I appreciate it. And we'll get started, and everyone can take a look at these ideas and see what you have, thoughts about some things that we could do to bring value.
I could lend a hand too.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. Okay. We can get together maybe later before the board meeting to talk about this, or whatever. Okay, once you see the suggestions in there, and there's so many. And they tell you how many points everything is worth, so it's pretty much a math deal, like 10 points, what can we do to get 10 points minimum? Okay? That's the Tree City USA Growth Award. All right. Moving on. Oh, the work plan. So council would like us to create a work plan like the other commissions, right?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that? Is
Sure,
it-
so
what's
I threw down some ideas on some stuff that I eventually want to work on. The tree trek program, for instance, we got it out there, it took us like 3 years to actually get the work done and get it out there. And I've never been super happy with it, we've never had time to get back to it. Some of the stakes are in crooked, my crew, and I haven't had time to push them back out there and get them done well. I don't even know, so we put it on an Avenza app. I don't even know if that's still working or not, because we haven't had a decent GIS program in a couple of years now. We're still trying to hire new GIS people. We have a contract GIS company right now. So, and this, you know, this doesn't all have to happen next year, but these are some of the tree trek things that I would like to start working on. I don't know if they even still have a pamphlet for it at the Discovery Center. There's a lot of things to look at for the tree trek program, just to make sure it's nice.
And this is something too that I thought we as a board could help with. When this first came out, there was a naturalist or somebody out there who was giving one or more tours, maybe Deb, you know. But anyway, yeah, I think she's gone, according to Laura, that I called out there recently, because I wrote up for the tree care advisor program at the university, I wrote up how to create a tree truck, the process, so that we can be replicating that around the state. And Laura was kind enough to send me a map, or, you know, the brochure that was created at the time. But I don't know, I was just out there last weekend and I didn't see any, you know, available, and it's not on that kiosk out front anymore like it was. So it would be good kind of to reset and just check on it. And that's something, of course, that we could do as a team or individuals to go out there and do that. So if anybody wants to help get that started, I think that would be a great opportunity, again, for us to bring value.
And we just need to ground truth it. I know when it first came out, there was a couple of trees that were on the mapping program that weren't actually in the tree trek itself. We didn't have stakes on them. So, I mean, it needs to be ground truth like that. There's some errors with it that.
Right. So a little quality control check.
Yes, exactly.
Going on a couple years in. Is anybody interested to work on that? You know, the trek itself goes from one side of the park to the other. So the brochure, which I have a copy of somewhere, you know, you could start on the west end or you could start on the east end, and I think there's some in the middle. And they broke it into sections, so you don't have to walk like that whole area. You could still look at some trees on one end or the other. But that would be another opportunity, I think, for us.
And it doesn't have to happen now.
Right.
You know, should we be putting it on next year's work plan? It's all a discussion. So eventually I might get the time to deal with it myself.
Right.
Well, I do a lot of walking in that park, so I'd be willing to help out.
Oh, awesome, Mike. Well, why don't we add it to the work plan? I mean, the work plan doesn't mean it has to get done, right? Or it's a goal. There are things that
Right.
we're trying to
Yep.
do.
Exactly.
Okay, so I want to just clarify what our expectations are. If we write it on here, do we have to do it?
It's
Okay,
just a
we're going to work
plan.
towards it. Okay, so like a quality control check on the tree truck. And Mike, thank you, and I'll be glad to work with you too.
Just as long as I got some directions.
Right. Yeah, let's connect on that, and I'll show you what's out there. And then I just know I can't walk that whole park. That's a long way for me. My hip will go out. But okay, so that's for sure going to be added to the work plan. The forest garden was another one that came up. I went to the shade tree short course. I talked to you guys about that at our last meeting, and You know, this is a new trend, and actually, so Chris, our former forester, I think was a little ahead of the game, having a forest garden with edible fruits in there, and some trees with apple trees and other things that are edible. So it was called a forest garden, and that is the name of it. But it seems like maybe, again, we've lost some momentum on that we could be labeling, and we should be labeling if we, you know, we're inviting people to eat things out of that garden. It should be labeled. So that's another opportunity to kind of resurrect the plan. Lauren has sent me some of the history. I did not have this because I was new to the board at the time. But to actually go through some of these quadrants, I don't know what he called them actually, segments of that garden. Very complicated. There's just a lot of plant material in there, but I think that's another opportunity that we could go back and try and enhance and invite people into that space. Right now, it looks a little bit like a tote road almost, if you guys know where that is. And I've had people ask me, is that okay to be walking up in there? When I've been pruning, doing some pruning last year, the year before. Oh, is that all right if I go up in there? Yeah, please. But how do we get them to understand that? So.
Welcome to the forest garden.
Yes.
Instead of
yeah.
just forest garden.
Right, well, and we did talk about getting signage, you know, professional signage, but I just don't think there was budget money for that.
The sign is actually quite nice.
Oh, thank you.
You notice it.
The sign, yes, if you notice it, yes. It is quite nice. My husband made it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so signage would be great, definitely labeling, and there's a volunteer, what's the name of that man who works out there? Paul? Somebody?
Paul Cockelmeyer.
Cockelmeyer. Oh, he needs to be, if anyone knows him personally, say thank you. Apparently, he does hours and hours of volunteering out there, and waters trees by hand. Very, very strong volunteer. So if you know him, engage him and thank him.
And I order fruit trees every year for him to plant. He plants fruit trees in all of our parks. So visit the parks and you might find some fruit hanging on trees you can eat.
Awesome. I did just meet him at, was he at the 40th planting, I think, the
Yep.
40th Street?
Yep.
And I kind of invited him to the tree board, but he said he can't make the schedule work for our meetings. So otherwise, I think he would have been an awesome addition to our team. Okay, moving on to the shadow, any comments on that forest garden? Are you okay with adding that to the work plan? Nodding heads.
Idea.
Okay. The shadow planting grant, so this came up with the DNR and the consultant for the Emerald Ash Borer management plan is they recommend shadow planting, and that's putting a new tree next to a treated ash tree or nearby a treated ash tree. So the goal is to eventually get out of that chemical treatment business. So you plant a young tree nearby, let that grow a couple, 2-3 years for, I don't know how long, before then you would take the ash out and then not have that investment every year, the budget line item for treating ash. So, you know, it takes some time, of course, for those young trees to grow, but there is, apparently we had a meeting with the DNR in May, maybe, and she said there was grant money coming again for some more projects, and this would be one that the consultant recommended, and I think would be a good one to propose for next year.
So we treat about 80 trees chemically treat them with emamectin benzoate every year. And the shadow planting, I mean, we obviously get homeowners' permission. If we did try to get a shadow planting grant and shadow plant, we would be doing it on these boulevard trees, asking the residents if we could plant another tree in their boulevard, because eventually we want to stop chemically treating our remaining ash. So that's kind of the...
Great. And by the way, the DNR connection called them buddy trees, which is kind of a nice name too. So grow up the the big one, and then eventually stop and remove. So that would be an opportunity. I don't know, Lauren, how do you hear about when that money's available? I heard the legislature had a big funding now for things like this, but when, how do you know when that
I
money's?
just have to go to the DNR website and look once in a while is what I do.
Okay, so that would be another opportunity for us to bring value, is to check that site once in a while as tree board members, so that Lauren's not having to go out there, and if anybody sees that pop up, there we go. Apply for some money to do that. All right, and then the last thing on our work plan would be kind of our quote normal rhythm of having the Arbor Day Festival, the spring planting, and then do we want to add a bullet C for buckthorn removal?
Yes, and that somehow got missed, so.
Okay. So those are our ongoing activities that we've done every year. So 1, 2, 3, 4 tasks on the work plan, and it looks like that would be a good list, maybe a stretch goal to get all those done next year.
Yeah, and we don't have to accomplish everything.
Right.
We can just have it on the list so we can be working towards it.
Okay, then we can roll them into the next year.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, Lauren, do you want to talk about the tree selection?
Sure.
list?
My goal here was, this was the first year I sent you guys the PDF of what Bailey offers when they sent it to me. Typically, just in late August, I go through that, and I look for Minnesota natives that jump out at me, and then I'll present them to you, usually in our September meeting. So I just wanted to get an idea from you guys if there was anything that you saw on the list that you wanted me to work on getting this year. I tend to look at only Minnesota natives is what I do. Once in a while, we throw in an oddball here and there, like fruit trees, for instance, they're cultivars, and so, but.
Well, I was thinking about sugar maples, and for a bigger one, the fall fiesta, because that gets the best fall color. But if you're looking for smaller sugar maples, I would do Apollo.
Apollo?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of they list it as a street tree because it doesn't get so huge.
And so in general, I just shy away from maples because the Asian longhorn beetle is coming and they're gonna kill all the maples. And people plant a lot of maples, and they've always planted a lot of maples, and our maple count is as high as our ash count. So I try to stay away from maples.
Right.
But if you want a maple, we haven't done maples since I've been here, so we can
Right.
certainly give away a maple if you want.
Well, it's not native, but would you think about like a Prunus mackii, Amur chokecherry,
Yeah.
or a Japanese tree lilac?
And
I had tree lock on my list.
And the only thing about Japanese tree lilacs is they are invasive, that just like Amur maples, you just don't want to plant them next to a native area.
Right.
In mowed grass, they're fine because you mow over the new trees all the time and they die. But
Great.
and if we do give out a Japanese tree lilac, I'm gonna order extra for me because I need them in the parking lot here because all our lindens are starting to look pretty ratty out there, so.
Well, if you were to look at them, I would look at snow dance, because when that first came out, it was supposed to be seedless.
Okay,
It isn't listed as seedless now, so I'm guessing maybe it reverted back to.
right.
Okay. The other tree that I was thinking of, Lauren, was the river birch, Betula nigra, if that's.
I'm a big fan of river birch. They hold up well. They do much better than paper birch on two-line, or the bronze
Birch borer?
birch borer.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I saw there were cherry trees. I know we've had trouble now getting fruit trees the last few years, but there were quite a few cherries on there. So,
Edible cherries you're talking about?
yeah, I guess if we're gonna have a fruit, we should have an edible, I think. You know, and I know that's in demand by the citizens, so. Or,
Yeah, all right. I'll
or an
look at-
apple, of course, or, what's the other one, that pear tree that's out at Bethke Park, not Bethke Park, the other one by the Nature Center on Hadley.
I can't recall what.
The pear tree, but Eberly Park, yes, where,
I can't recall. I've ordered a couple different pears over the last years, and I can't remember
Yeah.
exactly what I ordered.
when I was working the farmers markets, last year before last, there were a couple ladies that's like, you need to get more of those pear trees. We used to harvest them all, but now somebody's getting to it before they are. So it was a successful planting apparently, so.
So, yeah, I mean, Everly Park, there's some contender peaches up there and.
Well, maybe it's a contender
and
peach I'm thinking
I don't know
of.
if it's Bartlett pears. I don't remember.
It might be the contender peach now that I'm thinking of, because that name rings a bell versus Bartlett. Yeah. Anyway, it might be a peach.
Would you consider a horse chestnut?
I would, yep. I mean,
But I would use the European one because it's supposed to be fruitless, because otherwise horse chestnuts are not a thing that you want in the city. They got dangerous weapons.
They're gonna hurt people when they fall?
They got spines on them, and if people throw them at each other,
Oh, kids,
Or if a lawnmower catches it and throws
yeah,
it.
okay.
it's kind of like sweet gum is the same way.
Oh, dangerous. Okay, well, are those some good ideas or
They
helpful
are.
to kind of get started there?
fabulous ideas, yep.
All right, good.
That'll get me started.
Okay. All right, Buckthorn removal event. Do we have any ideas for a location this year? You've got a,
I have not come up with one yet. That's why I wanted to throw it to you guys to,
Look.
I mean, we have until October, so we can certainly talk about it again in September. But I will, typically what I do is during the summer while I'm out and about, I start looking. So I wanted to throw it out to you guys first to see if you had any areas you guys saw out there that you wanted to work on Buckthorn. But throughout this summer, I'll be looking for an area, so.
does it have to be by a park? I mean, because we have the lunch in the gathering point.
Right,
Does
it's
what-
nice to have a pavilion, but we have enough, because of the Arbor Day Festival, we have plenty of tents now, because I've been buying a couple of tents every year, just so we can keep everybody protected. And we did the spring planting without a pavilion this
Right,
year for the
right.
first year, so.
There-
But generally, right, we stick to a park that has a pavilion we can eat under.
Right, right. Yeah, I was thinking about when I went in 40th by that Gretchen Lane into the nature preserve. I'd never gone in that way before, and it seemed like there was a lot of buckthorn. And there's a path, Mike, I think that you said you take from, is it 40th in to the north?
Yeah, I haven't been on that part in a while.
Oh,
Usually
okay.
I'm coming in more by the tennis courts.
Okay,
That Joe's Garden Trail you're talking about.
yeah. But then I was thinking about that when I was walking in, like, oh, there's a lot of buckthorn in here, but then where do we meet? The logistics of it, right? So,
Yeah, but I mean, that, we can always walk from the parking lot.
Sure.
That's the extent, well, I
how
mean,
far?
Everly Park might be closer. I don't know, I'll have to
We
look
did
at.
one at Everly Park some years ago. Is there anything down like by Tanner's Lake? That,
I
I don't know, I guess, let's take some nature walks this summer and check out some areas. And if, so September's not too late if we come back with some suggestions for you?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, all right, so let's, as you're out and about, take a look and see if you can come up with some ideas. Good to know we don't need to have a pavilion you know.
Yeah, and
If we-
like I say, I will eventually come up with a spot. I just
Yeah.
wanted to see if you guys had any ideas you want me to work on.
Okay. All right, the Emerald Ash Borer Removal Ordinance. Can you comment on that and kind of explain the
Yeah,
background, Lauren?
so this is, and I should have looked at
Thank you.
our ordinance before the meeting, but I just haven't had time again to refresh my memory on it. But, so we have it written in our tree ordinance that, that we can force homeowners to remove emerald ash borer trees. I haven't had to do it yet. I have to throw it at city council and let them make that decision, but we don't have any written policy on it. Right now, my policy on it is if a neighbor complains that there's a dangerous emerald ash borer, dead EAB tree over their property, then I'm gonna look at it, see if I think it's a hazard. If I have to, I'll hire a track certified tree risk assessment specialist to tell me that it's a hazard, and then I'm gonna throw it at city council. But there's no written policy, so I'm just, I'm throwing this out there to see if we should discuss, and I wish Nick was here, he's in the industry,
Great.
to see if we should discuss if we think we should be coming up with a written policy and throwing it to city council to maybe have it at a workshop or something. Eventually, it's becoming serious now. There's ash trees dying everywhere in Oakdale. And there's gonna be property, I get calls about it all the time. There's gonna be property line disputes. The current statistics that I've heard are, within 6 years of an ash dying from emerald ash borer, 80% of them are tipping over. So it's gonna be neighbor conflicts here in a hurry, and I want to be prepared, if that,
I guess for any policy such as that, I would recommend at least one step being visit with with not just the neighbor, but the resident who owns the lot for the tree is on,
Right.
and explain the situation, and that if you don't take it down, we have options to force
Great,
the removal.
right, step one or
But
two
that,
of,
make sure that the resident knows about what's gonna happen.
yep, I will do that before I throw it to city council. And it hasn't had to happen yet, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I just, you hadn't put that in the steps you were mentioning, I just wanted to make sure it was there.
yep.
and Lauren, are there any other trees besides ash that this ever happens with? That there's a dead or dying tree?
So
on-
there's 3 trees on our ordinance that we can force removal. That's oak wilt,
Oh.
Dutch elm disease, and emerald ash borer infestations.
There's nothing in a general about trees that threaten the possibility
Right.
of damage to a neighbor's house or their own
No.
house?
A hazard tree?
Because there are a
besides-
lot of dead trees out there this year that I've seen.
Yep.
Mm.
That's not in our tree ordinance at all on hazard conditions. It's mainly on protecting the forest from dying further.
How do we even get started on this? I mean, what's the first step of taking this to the next step? I don't even know how to
Good
do it.
question, and I don't know the answer either.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Talking about whether they.
And get some direction from council if we should be working on
Right.
it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wouldn't know where to start.
What is since we're talking about, what is when you treat an emerald ash borer, what is the percentage that it will survive?
So the general consensus is if your ash tree has lost 25% or more of its leaf area, it's not worth treating anymore. But you can, if you start treating a tree like that, it'll survive, it's just gonna look ugly for a while. So it all depends on how much this tree is important to you, how much it shades your house, how much it shades the swing that you love, or that your child planted that tree. If they reach 50% leaf loss, you know, they're really ugly. And it takes a long time to grow big limbs back, like 25, 30, 40, 50 years. So if it's no leaves on one side, there aren't gonna be leaves on that side for 10, 15, 20 years. So it's gonna be ugly that long, so it's just not worth it. And in general, they say you can treat a tree, an ash tree for emerald ash borer for 20 years roughly for the price of removal. So if you have a tree you wanna save, it's worth treating. And even if you treat it 5 years, it buys you time to plan for that removal. That's gonna cost you $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, depending on the tree, so. Sometimes it's worth it to spend $150 every 2 years on treating the tree so that you can buy some time to save money for the removal.
But eventually it's gonna die.
If you don't treat it for the rest of its life, it will die, yep,
Do it prolonged.
yep.
And the percentage is pretty good, right? For, like
Yeah.
you say, 20 years or more. I don't know how long they have data for, because it's, I don't know how long the problem, you know, when it originated, if we know how long you can continue to treat. But I thought it was like in the 90% or something success rate
Yeah.
for
yep.
treating a tree. So, but yeah, it's got to be worth the value has to be there, I guess, for the
Right,
individual.
and there are homeowner treatment methods. For instance, imidacloprid, it's a neonicotinoid, so it's a bee killer. So ash trees in general aren't bee pollinated, but if there's a flower garden underneath, so the imidacloprid homeowner treatment, and you mix it with water and you pour it on the ground around your tree, and the tree roots take it up. But I wouldn't do that in a flower garden below your ash tree because it's gonna kill bees, so.
Right.
And the homeowner treatments like that, there's another chemical too, I can't remember the active ingredient, homeowner treatments. The one that Rainbow does for us, requires a restricted use pesticide license. So you have to hire a professional for that. And that is the most effective, as far as I know, that's the most effective method for treating them. The homeowner treatment you have to do every year. The emamectin benzoate injection into the trunk, you can do it every 2 years. And a large tree costs about $150 every 2 years.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on. Thank you for any feedback you can provide us from council on an ordinance, the policy. The updated EAB plan, which was part of the grant that the DNR is providing to Oakdale, that is done, and a copy is in your packet. You're welcome to take a look at it. There's nothing urgent, I would say. It's all very important, but maybe if we could bring this back again in September, if anyone has any comments. We went through it at least 3 times with the consultant, making changes, making more changes. And I feel like this is a good final, kind of quote, final draft, ready to go to you guys and then eventually to council. And this would be a document that would be available to the public for anyone to see what Oakdale's doing about ash trees and the emerald ash borer. So I guess that's an action item for everybody to just take a look at it, read through it at, good bedtime reading, and come back in September with any suggestions that you have. Okay? Let's see, anything else? I guess we're at Board member updates, council liaison updates. Are there any board member updates that you want to bring forward tonight? All quiet? Council update?
Really quick.
Thank you.
I don't have any updates other than we just started working on the budget, so it's every workshop now, we're working on the budget. By the way, I'll introduce myself. Susan Olson, previously Susan Willenbring, as of a week and a half ago.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But I'm happy to bring anything to the council if you have any ideas, like we already discussed, or if you have any questions. And I do apologize, it's the first time that I missed the Arbor Day giveaway. But we had to go pay our vendors for the wedding, so I couldn't make it. Next year, though.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, and welcome aboard, and glad to have you
Thank you.
represent the council. Thank you.
Any questions for me or anything else you want me to bring back? No? Okay.
Thanks for continued support. I think, it's nice that we have a tree board and a city forester. Not all cities have this anymore. So I think that in Oakdale, obviously, our name says it all, Oakdale. So
Agreed.
it's all about the trees.
Agreed.
Or a lot of it is. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And then Deb, is there anything you want to bring forward from Master Gardeners? All right. Okay.
Can I just ask, so you haven't put up any kind of a sign-up sheet for Buckthorn?
Not yet.
Okay,
It's pending. I have it up, but it's pending.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
For Buckthorn event?
And yeah, now that we're back on Buckthorn, so I had one, oh yeah,
You had two
date.
dates.
Date, time, if we can back up the Buckthorn removal event. And I was just looking at the calendar and I was thinking the later the better, 21st or 28th. Does anybody have any opinions on that? And so we have to work around, another thing I forgot to put on here. We have to work around MEA weekend. Does anybody know when MEA weekend is? I don't have my phone with me right now. So
Somebody look it up.
anyways, I just wanted people to start thinking about a date. We can look at it again in
Esti's already
September,
got it, I think.
so.
Dallas, are you looking it up?
City Hall just always wants me to throw dates at them early because they put it in the Oakdale update
get in the
and all
calendar.
that, so.
Great.
October 21st.
21st is MEA weekend.
Yep.
Okay, so then it's either the 28th at the very end of October or a week before the 28th.
Well, that's the 21st. That's
21st.
MEA. The 14th. Is the 28th not a little too late? Is it still
Well,
leafed out usually?
it could be, we could have a Halloween
snap.
snowstorm or something.
Right? Could be cold.
So is everybody looking at closer to the 14th then? Is that kind of what people are thinking?
I just thought that was more typical for Buckthorn
Okay.
events.
I'll look at the 14th then.
And then, yeah, it might be warmer too. Nicer weather.
Okay,
All right,
perfect.
14th, okay.
Glad I thought I remembered
So
that.
pencil it in on your calendars, everybody, at least for now, October 14th.
One thing I forgot, don't forget Summerfest.
Yeah,
Thursday.
Oh,
this week,
good point.
Summerfest, big event.
And the parade is at 5 on Thursday.
6.
Oh, 6 is it? So it's the lineup that starts at 5. Sorry, that's what I think of.
Roads are closed. All right. Okay, I think we're pretty close to on time.
Nice.
How did that happen? All right, I think I need a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Dallas, thanks.
Second.
Second, Mike, okay. Thanks, everyone. Happy summer, stay cool. Okay.
Thanks. Oh, thanks, Susan. Yeah, that would be super helpful if you brought that up.
Great. Okay.
I take it Kathy is